Let's touch on some tips for time management in real estate. Real estate can be an especially difficult business to manage your time in. You've got multiple transactions at any given time, new things coming in, old things that you should have gotten done. So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper here into time management and both some strategy and some tactics to help you better manage your time in the real estate business. So for one, the reasons to manage your time is for a more balanced life, improve productivity, lower stress levels, better preparedness, and at least a feeling of preparedness, improved focus, and also to work on choosing what business you're going to accept and spend your time on and what things you're going to say no to. In real estate, there are a lot of different options and opportunities and business models. So it's especially important to decide what you are focused on, and sometimes that's being even more specific about what you are not focused on. There are a couple of ways to start to manage your time better. One of the best ways is really a written list of things that you do, things that you never get to, things like that, where you can look at them all in one shot and make a decision on what are the most important or what things could be delegated or automated or outsourced to a virtual assistant or VA. Just taking a realistic look at all the things that need to be done and assigning them times or people or automating them. Online calendar is another great way to really just set either time blocks or be sure your appointments are there. I use a lot of color coding to differentiate appointments. If they're something where I have to physically be there, that might be a different color than something I just need to remember to call somebody at a certain time or just follow up on something that is not super time sensitive, but I need a calendar reminder for some reason. Obviously, time blocking is an important one. We'll dig deeper into that. Also, just setting aside time to reevaluate what you're working on. Sometimes we start a project and give a lot of time to it and then realize at the end maybe it wasn't the best thing to be putting our time towards. So just setting time, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or even quarterly, to just look at what you're working on and make sure that it is the right thing. So another thing I like to look at in this is Stephen Covey's big rocks concept. The idea that if you put in the big rocks first, then there's room for the smaller things, or the smaller things will fit in. But if you put all the stuff in first, you seem to never get around to the bigger things that really are the core parts of your business or your personal life or both. So take a minute to assess what are the big rocks in your life. Is it time with loved ones? Is it your faith, your education, or your dreams? A worthy cause, teaching or mentoring others? It can really be anything. There's no wrong answer here, but just deciding a priority that's something that you really need to get done in order to be the best version of yourself. A couple of other things to consider in your time blocking, specific to real estate and just running a business. Things like getting to know the market, making time to make prospecting calls, making client calls, which I think are important to differentiate from prospecting calls, handling your transaction management, whether that's doing it yourself or having it outsourced or having a high-level view on if it's running right, writing content if that's something that you're interested in and want to do, or also having it outsourced. Time to think creatively. Now, this can vary. Some people are really creative types, marketing people that want and need that real creative time. If you're not that person, it may just be thinking about your business or thinking about some of the nuances of the day-to-day, but just some focused time really thinking about the business, as they say, working on your business, not in your business. Time for social media. I think more than ever, it's important to set aside time for social media, but not to constantly be on call for social media. So we'll dig into this and probably more in another video on notifications and other tactical ways to do that, but really making sure your social media time isn't all the time. Also reviewing your online profiles and Googling yourself and your business. Time for email. Email doesn't also have to always be an on-call type of thing. You can set aside times to check your email or use features like inbox pause to just take a break from email, focus on your work, and then get back to the email. Other things like business growth, personal growth, learning and education, whether that's actual CE credit or attending conferences, just watching YouTube videos on what other people are doing, or an interest that you have, something that's not business. Exercise and goals, very important things to time block. Volunteer time, personal time, which is just checked out time. It's not personal growth. It's just literally time to yourself and or time with family. I also recommend that you put a day or an evening off in your calendar. It doesn't have to be a full half day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but maybe taking a Monday night or a Wednesday night or a certain morning where you don't start work until 11, but just having some sort of off time in your schedule. And then, ironically enough, setting time to review your time blocking, because it is going to change. You're going to get better at it. You're going to develop some things as habits, but then you also still want to take a look at that and make sure it is an evolution. There is not a finish line. So you want to also set aside some time to review your time blocking and see how it's working. A couple other quick tips here, just specific to the time blocking. Building out the morning, really the start to your day, is going to really tee up the rest of your day. So if you start your day by grabbing your phone, then your day is probably going to be on fire. And if you start your day getting yourself right, then your day is probably going to look a lot better. Adjusting things, like I mentioned previously, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get it exactly right the very first time. So just either keeping notes or reviewing, or otherwise just finding time to assess what's good and what could be improved. And also being flexible. I see some people time block where it's like every hour on the hour is a new thing. You've got to allow time for calls to come in, or minor emergencies, or just other things that come up. So just remember, and especially if you're managing people or otherwise responsible, you've got to bake in that time just to be available. I know it can feel counterproductive sometimes, but just having that time when you're available is important to bake in to their schedule, because it's going to happen. Also being reasonable. Don't be so detailed that you do have everything on the hour as a new thing. Just start with maybe even a day or two or a morning or two kind of blocked out to get specific things done. And also, like I mentioned before, using color coding, whether it's a printed or handwritten calendar or an online type of calendar. So there is a weekly calendar that we have attached, depending on where you're viewing this, that you can use. Just an easy sample to be able to have a visual time block. Clearly you can make your own or buy one that makes sense for you. But looking at it all in a written out way is a great strategic way to have a high level look at things. Also, your workspace. Be sure that your workspace is something that's conducive to thought, conducive to your productivity. There's no question, if you see something like this, that it can be very, very difficult to focus in an environment like this. And if that works for you, then that's great. Don't stress it. But I think a lot of people don't pay as much attention to their workspace, and it can be an important aspect of your daily productivity. So some other tips to do are to just set aside some higher level 3 to 5 things that you want to accomplish in a week. Set time in the calendar to check up on those, whether that's daily or just at the end of the week. And again, baking in that time for the unexpected, or just to take a break, or just to be realistic about achieving those things. So same for goals. Pick 3 to 5 things that you really want to accomplish. We also have a goal sheet that should be attached here somewhere that's pretty simple. It's a couple of high-level categories, and it's actually got 2 things in each area that over the course of the year that you want to achieve. This is a concept originated by an author named Laura Vanderkam, who is a time management expert. Definitely check out her books and her TED Talk and other YouTube videos. But one of the great things about this is really digging into ultimately some dreams and goals and some big things that you want to accomplish in your life. And it's a great way to get back to a strategic level. I think sometimes we get really tactical in our goals, and I want to do this and get this done and hit this number. And I think sometimes we lose sight of the real high level, what does your life look like? Why are we doing all this hard work to ultimately be in the long run? Whether that's having a saleable business, whether it's being to check out of it for a week or even a month, to live in another country. I mean, really anything that could be a passion or an interest of yours that, digging into why are you doing all this hard work? What's going to be the end game? So this is a quick time management matrix tied back again to Stephen Covey and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The idea of that some things are urgent and important, but it's really easy to miscategorize these things in the moment. So just being really aware of the actual priority of the tasks that are happening. So I think there was another slide, or used to be another slide, digging more in to some of those concepts, like the idea that social media might feel urgent and important, but it's probably neither. But just assessing honestly where that sits for you. So, and also being careful that just being busy, especially in real estate and any commission-driven business, does not necessarily equal business. Some of the most successful agents out there are the people who have leveraged their time, and they're not necessarily running around crazy busy. And there's certainly plenty of people running around crazy busy who aren't having the production to back that up. So just be careful that being really busy is not necessarily equal success. Certainly have to put in the work, but busyness does not equal business. So, and again, digging a little deeper into busy versus effective. Busy is filling up time with things that aren't necessarily according to any sort of master plan or goal. Effective is actually focusing on more of those processes, being intentional about the things that you're working on, and being selective with the use of your time and resources. So here's the slide that does put most of the social media into the not urgent and not important. And I would agree with that. Certainly it's important to build relationships through that, but constantly having social media going off and having to respond to things immediately is never going to be effective if you're also responsible for production or management or other things that ultimately will give you bigger long-term results with focus. So really focusing on things that are urgent and important, and potentially setting aside things for other things. Specifically the not urgent but important. I think those are the things that tend to fall away in our business, the planning and the strategy and personal development. And just taking some time to make sure you're right over just conducting business. A couple of reading tips. There's a ton of great books on this subject, but 168 Hours, You Have More Time Than You Think by Laura Vanderkam is a definite must read. Choosing to Cheat by Andy Stanley, which now goes under a different name. I think you can find it if you search Choosing to Cheat. The One Thing by Gary Keller. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and also The 4 Disciplines of Execution by Sean Covey. There are plenty of other books. We've also got a list on our website of some other reading recommendations, but those are all a little more specific to focus and productivity and time management. Another way to leverage your time ultimately is through a hire or a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant has become much more popular these days. It could be someone, typically with contract work, they could be local to you, they could be in another country. It's just truly someone who you don't have to have a meeting with or be in immediate contact with to help you achieve some tasks. So the best thing to do to dig into what you need to delegate or leverage is to take a deeper self-assessment. What are the things that you love to do? And how can you position yourself to do more of those things? So what can only you do for the business? You can't outsource things like relationship building or recruiting agents or things that are really specific talents to you. There are plenty of things like paperwork and marketing and social media that can be outsourced. Be mindful you're going to need to delegate those well, but there are some things that other people could take on. But I think be mindful of the things that only you can do for your business is a really, really important thing to consider in any sort of planning and time management. Also, take a look at the tasks that you never really get around to or you really dislike doing. Those are typically things that you would want to outsource. There's probably somebody out there that loves to do those things that you really hate doing or never seem to get around to. So look at the tasks that you need done. As I mentioned earlier, just writing down the tasks that you do or need done can really help dig into, are these specialized tasks that really need, someone who has some sort of education or training in that, or is this truly more of a rote checklist type of item that shown once someone else could take and do every day or every week for you? And also, do these tasks require a real estate license? Is this someone that has a local or state, same state that you're in, real estate license? Or are these the type of tasks that could just be outsourced to an intern or a VA or somebody else? Also, taking a look at all those tasks that you need to outsource. Is it realistic for one human in the number of hours you can pay them or secure them for? Can they realistically do all those things? Or is this potentially having a marketing VA and a paperwork VA, or otherwise identifying, are these truly one skill set, one human? And also what tasks can be done remotely and which ones cannot. Some things like putting out signs or lock boxes obviously can't be done by someone who's in another market or in another country. But there are plenty of things that can be done, seem to be done consistently, but not necessarily even at the same time. So just take a deep look at those when you're looking to potentially outsource or hire for that. And there's a lot of great options to find help. I find that people tend to be kind of secret agents about sharing out there looking for help. I think it's a tremendous source of business to show that, hey, we're growing and we're having success. I think it's great just marketing for more real estate business to market to your database that you're growing and looking for some help with your business. So things like marketing the help that you need to your database, or looking at local schools for interns, certainly virtual assistants, or even a team member. If you have an adult child or cousin or even a remote family member who might be interested in learning more of the business, you could potentially do it as an official internship and get them some school credit. There's a lot of ways to make that work. Also considering a newer or even an older agent in your office. If you've got someone who's been in the business for a while that might use some of the skills that you have and vice versa, that's a great way to almost accountability level partner, but truly somebody who may have more experience in the business, whereas you may have more experience with some of the newer digital marketing or technology of the day. So just having a conversation with other people who may need help and looking for creative ways to solve that. And then, of course, there are companies that you can hire to help you hire if you need to hire at a deeper level or don't have the time to screen candidates or dig more deeply into that. So you can find all these same slides at amplifiedsolutions.com/time management. So if you want to grab some of the tips herein or otherwise connect with us or download some of our time management resources, please go to amplifiedsolutions.com/time management and reach out if we missed any tips or if there's anything here that you feel like we should add or if there's something that you found especially helpful. Thanks.